Hello, Pauper fans. This is Mathonical, and you are joining me for a quick deck tech on Slivers. I'm going to run this deck through a league, and I'm going to record that for you guys. Basically, I haven't really seen any content of people playing Slivers, and I think it is a great deck to play with Lead the Stampede. I think many people were thinking of this, but I'm not sure how many people actually went out and tried it. So if you were wondering how it performs, this is your opportunity to see it in action. Basically, the idea of the deck is very simple. We're just going to play a lot of slivers. In this case, we're going to play 30 main deck. We've got slivers that add +0/+1. We've got slivers that have flanking. Flanking is an amazing ability that most opponents usually have to read the first time, and yes, it does stack. If you've got two Sidewinder Slivers and they block, their creatures will get -2/-2. And every single one of their creatures that blocks, each one of them will get -1/-1, so it's a very good effect. Virulent Sliver, or Virulent Sliver, I think is how it's better pronounced. Poisonous, we still do the combat damage, but every time we do combat damage, for every Virulent Sliver we have on the board, they'll also get one poison counter. So this is a nice way of winning around life gain strategies. Sentinel Sliver gives our creatures vigilance so they don't have to tap when they attack. Spinneret, they have reach. This is really good against a lot of the flyers, especially since Boros Monarch has been a very popular deck in the recent past, but it's also good against any kind of Delver strategies and things like that. And then, of course, the core of the deck is the triple Lord package. So Sinew gives +1/+1, Muscle gives +1/+1, and Predatory gives +1/+1. For the mirror match purposes, Predatory is probably your best card because, it only gives your own creatures +1/+1. Everything else affects all creatures. Well, Sentinel only gives yours vigilance, but, And to supplement our Sliver package, we're going to be playing 4 Mutagenic Growth. This is a way of getting around burn spells removal, basically a free way of protecting our creatures. But it's also a way of kind of getting our opponents in combat, since they're going to be wanting to block our creatures, usually multi-blocking to make sure they kill some of them. This is a way of making sure that our Slivers stay alive. And a couple of Vines of Vastwood, once again, as a protection effect, but also making our creatures bigger and trying to get in for lethal. And of course, the prize, Lead the Stampede. We're just looking to get a whole lot of slivers, flood the board, and hope it's good enough to win the game. Mana base is something that I've worked with Deluxecoff in the past to put together. Basically, it gives us, 13 green sources and 14 white sources. We're a little heavier on the white sources just because we want them untapped to play our 1-drop on turn 1 as often as possible, but it is also reasonable to go to like 14 green and 13 white because it is a little on the heavier green side. Of course, Mutagenic Growth is a free spell, so you don't really have to account that as one of the green spells. And yeah, a little bit of tapped lands just to make sure we've got a little extra mana fixing, and a couple Ash Barrens because it is it's basically the best fixing that we have right now in Pauper. Over to the sideboard, I'm trying out a couple different things because I'm not really quite sure what the optimal sideboard plan for Slivers would be in the current meta. So to that effect, I'm going to pull in a couple Palace Sentinels. I want to try what it's like drawing cards against decks that want to remove all of our creatures and see if that kind of effect is good enough. Basically, you don't really have to do this, but it is also able to be found with Lead the Stampede, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a try. Couple Coalition Honor Guards. We already have the early game lockdown with tons of 1 and 2 drops, so this is a way of, a little bit later in the game, completely shutting down a lot of different decks. You'll see, everyone who watches my videos know I really do like having a flag bearer effect of some sort in the sideboard, especially if you're playing white. It is very, very useful in a lot of matchups. Prismatic Strands is another one of my favorite cards, and one of the large reasons why I'm always playing white. This is a double fog, protection effect, you name it, it does it. It's an amazing, I love it. We got the Circle Protection Red. This is just a way of protecting ourselves from burn and occasionally from Atogs or Is It Blitz decks. Hallow is a card that I do like as a way of protecting our creatures against burn removal. It's also really good against burn in general, so I'm going to try running one of those. Gut Shots I'm bringing in as a way of protecting ourselves from spell stutter sprites, and hopefully can help deal with some elves. Although basically our main game plan against elves is to just kind of run them over by getting a lot of creatures down early and kind of just jamming in there. Gutshot is just kind of there to delay their deck by killing a Priest Titania, but possibly 2 is not enough. We might need a third one. Gleeful Sabotage is the the really good artifact enchantment removal to go with our deck, and just a one of Relic Progenitus. Although Fairy Macabre is also a reasonable option for this since it can be found with Lead the Stampede. And that is how we're going to roll with this one. Let me know if you have any suggestions for possible edits we can do to the deck, because I do like Slivers in general. I feel it's like it's a very fast, quick deck. If you just want to quickly run a league in an hour, play Slivers. It's fairly linear for the most part, and the most difficult part is usually the early turn sequencing or how to play around control decks. So hopefully you'll enjoy the series, and I'll see you there.